Welcome to Monk's Temple. Let yourself settle. Let the weight you carry find a place to rest. You can close your eyes, or soften your gaze. There's no effort required here, only a gentle turning inward. Tonight, we'll explore a simple but profound truth: much of what we call our burden isn't ours to carry. We'll learn the art of setting it down. I'd like to begin with a story about a river stone. When I was a boy, I loved collecting smooth stones from the creek behind our home. I'd fill my pockets, loving their cool, solid weight. One day, I found a perfect one, egg-shaped, slate gray, fitting my palm exactly. I decided it was my lucky stone. I carried it everywhere. To school, in my pocket. To bed, under my pillow. At first, its weight was comforting, a reminder of the creek's steady flow. But as weeks turned to months, I stopped noticing its comfort. I only noticed its weight. My pocket developed a hole. The constant presence became a dull ache. Yet, I couldn't imagine letting it go. It was my stone. Letting go felt like losing a part of my story. One afternoon, my grandfather saw me fussing with my heavy pocket. He didn't say a word. He simply led me back to the creek. He pointed to the water flowing over a bed of stones. "Watch," he said. The water moved without hesitation, parting around the rocks, singing as it went. It didn't try to carry the stones. It let them rest where they were, and in doing so, it kept its own nature. Fluid, clear, and free. Then he looked at my pocket. "The river doesn't carry its stones downstream," he said softly. "It lets the current move, and leaves the stones to be stones." That day, I knelt by the water and emptied my pockets. I placed my lucky stone back among the others. The immediate feeling wasn't loss. It was relief. A lightness I had forgotten. My hand kept reaching for a weight that was no longer there, and finding only space. This is the first and most tender teaching we encounter on the path. We confuse the weight we carry for our own substance. We believe our worries, our old pains, our constant plans, are part of who we are. To set them down feels like losing ourselves. But Buddhism gently points out that you were never the stone. You are the river. Your true nature is awareness, flow, presence. The stones, the thoughts, the memories, the anxieties, are simply experiences resting in your current. Suffering is what happens when you try to take them with you, when you confuse the temporary guest for the eternal host. Peace begins the moment you kneel by the waterside of your own soul and empty your pockets. If this image of setting down the stone speaks to you, I invite you to subscribe to Monk's Temple. Let this be a gentle space where we practice emptying our pockets together, remembering our river nature. Now, let's look at what often fills those pockets first. Our relentless battle with what is. We live in a culture that praises the struggle. We admire the person who fights against all odds. But Buddhism draws a crucial distinction. There is a difference between skillful effort and futile resistance. Skillful effort is paddling your boat in the direction you wish to go. Futile resistance is pounding your fists against the waves, demanding the ocean be calm. Most of our exhaustion comes from the latter. We spend our days arguing with reality. We rehearse conversations that already happened, wishing we'd said something different. We stare at a closed door, pouring energy into the belief it should still be open. We stand in the rain and curse the sky for being wet. I'd like to offer you a new metaphor. Imagine your mind is a snow globe. When you are at peace, the flakes of thought and feeling settle gently. The water is clear. You can see the serene scene within. Now, imagine something happens. A disappointment, a fear, a frustration. Your hand grabs the snow globe and shakes it violently. The water clouds. The scene vanishes in a blizzard. Who is shaking the globe? It is your own resistance to the initial feeling. The pain of the disappointment was a single snowflake. Your resistance, "this shouldn't be happening," is the act of shaking. Now you can't see anything. You are lost in a self-created storm. The Buddhist practice is to notice the impulse to shake. And then, with great compassion, to set the globe down. To let the flakes settle on their own. The scene hasn't changed. The disappointment is still part of the landscape. But you can see it clearly now, and in that clarity, you know how to proceed. You are no longer blinded by the blizzard of your own resistance. I saw this vividly in my own life with a dying houseplant. A beautiful fern, given to me by a friend. It began to wither. Leaves turned brown and crisp. I was determined to save it. I researched tirelessly. I adjusted its water, its light, its humidity. I spoke to it. I played it music. I became obsessed with its revival. My entire mood began to hinge on the appearance of one new green frond. The plant, of course, continued its natural decline. My frustration grew into a quiet despair. I wasn't just tending a plant, I was waging a war against death itself, on a tiny, leafy battlefield. One morning, after another failed treatment, I sat before it, utterly drained. In that exhaustion, I stopped fighting. I simply looked at it. The brown, curling leaves. The dry soil. I accepted, this plant is dying. Not with resignation, but with simple, clear seeing. The moment I accepted the reality, the storm in my snow globe settled. The guilt, the frustration, the sense of failure, began to drift down. I could see the plant for what it was, a living thing completing its cycle. I gave it water, not as a desperate cure, but as an act of kindness for its remaining time. It died a week later. And my grief was clean, without the bitter residue of a lost battle. I had learned a priceless lesson: you cannot argue a leaf back to green. You can only love it while it is here, in whatever form it takes. Arguing with reality is the most exhausting conversation you will ever have, and you are the only one talking. This ties directly to a core Buddhist principle. The end of suffering begins with the end of the argument. Not with life, but with the present moment. The mind is a brilliant debater. It can build a case for why you're right, why this is unfair, why things should be different. But reality is the silent judge. It doesn't hear the case. It simply is. When you walk into the courtroom of your mind and see your thoughts passionately arguing with a judge who isn't there, you have a choice. You can join the argument, amplifying the noise. Or you can smile, turn around, and walk out of the courthouse into the fresh air of what is actually happening. The sun on your face. The breath in your lungs. The silent, unchanging truth of the present. Let's continue. Find that space of ease again. Let your shoulders drop. Let your thoughts pass by like leaves on a slow-moving stream. You are not the leaves. You are the bank, watching, steady, here. We often believe that to be safe, we must be in control. We clutch the steering wheel of life with white knuckles, eyes darting to every mirror, heart pounding at every bend in the road. We think vigilance is strength. We believe if we can just anticipate every bump, correct every swerve, we can avoid all crashes. This illusion of control is a beautiful, painful fiction. Buddhism observes it with great compassion. The tighter you grip, the more you feel every vibration in the road. The more you try to command the journey, the more exhausted you become, and the less you actually see the scenery passing by your window. I'd like to offer you a new metaphor. Imagine you are learning to swim in a vast, warm lake. At first, you thrash. You fight the water, slapping at it, trying to make it solid beneath you. You sink, you gasp, you panic. Your mind screams, control it. Dominate it. This is how we often approach life, trying to wrestle a fluid reality into solid submission. The instructor, like a wise Buddhist teacher, offers a different instruction: lean back. Let the water hold you. Trust it. It feels counterintuitive, terrifying. Let go of control. But when you finally do, when you stop fighting and spread your arms, a miracle happens. The water, which was an enemy, becomes a support. You float. You are held. You haven't controlled the lake, you've harmonized with its nature, and in doing so, you've discovered your own buoyancy. Control is the thrashing. Trust is the floating. Your true safety was never in your frantic effort, but in your innate ability to be supported by the reality you are a part of. A personal story comes to mind. For years, I was a meticulous planner. I had color-coded calendars, 5-year goals, backup plans for my backup plans. I believed my worth was tied to my ability to manifest my exact blueprint for life. Then, a series of events occurred: a sudden job transfer, a family need, a global event that closed borders. That shredded my beautiful plans into confetti. I felt not just disappointed, but annihilated. My sense of self was built on being the planner, the one in control. Without my plans, who was I? I spent months in a state of anxious paralysis, trying to glue the confetti back into a blueprint. It was impossible. One afternoon, utterly spent, I went for a walk without a route or a destination. I just walked. I noticed the cracks in the pavement where weeds blossomed. I saw a child chasing a runaway balloon. I felt the sun shift from behind a cloud, warming my neck. In that aimless walking, with no plan, I began to breathe again. I wasn't managing anything. I was just living. I realized I had confused the map for the territory. My plans were a tiny, fragile map. Life was the vast, wild, unpredictable territory. I could either keep crying over my torn map, or I could finally look up and see the actual landscape around me, with its unexpected beauty and its own kind of guidance. Letting go of control wasn't a failure. It was my first real step into the world. This leads us to a central pillar of Buddhist wisdom: impermanence. We hear this word and shrink from it. We think it means, everything you love will leave. That is only the fear-based half-truth. Impermanence also means, everything that pains you will change. It is the engine of healing, the space for growth, the reason dawn follows the darkest night. A flower is beautiful precisely because it blooms and fades. If it were plastic and eternal, we would not cherish it. Our suffering arises not from impermanence itself, but from our demand for permanence. We fall in love with a moment and command it to stay. We experience a joy and try to freeze it, like an insect in amber. But life is not amber, it is a river. Trying to hold a moment still is like trying to hold water in your fist. The tighter you squeeze, the faster it drains away, leaving you with nothing but a damp palm and a sense of loss. Consider the seasons. Does the tree suffer in autumn because its leaves are turning gold and falling? No. It is participating in a cycle far greater than itself. It lets go with a breathtaking display of color, then rests in stillness, gathering strength for the green burst of spring. Our lives have seasons. Relationships have seasons. Careers, health, and inner states have seasons. The pain comes when it's autumn, and we are desperately trying to act like it's still summer, clinging to green leaves that are ready to fall. Buddhism doesn't ask you to love the barren winter tree. It asks you to recognize it as a season, not a mistake. To trust that letting go is part of the cycle, not a failure of it. When you align with this rhythm, a deep fatigue lifts. You stop wasting energy on the impossible task of stopping time. I witnessed a powerful lesson in this from a master potter. He was throwing a vase on his wheel. The clay rose, a beautiful, symmetrical form emerging from the spinning mud. Then, with a subtle shift of his wet hands, he deliberately collapsed it. The lovely form slumped back into a lump. I gasped. Why? I asked. He smiled. The first form was good, he said. But it was tight. It was what my mind thought a vase should be. The clay had more to say. It wanted to be something softer, rounder. I had to let the first idea die to discover the second. He centered the lump again, and began anew. This time, a different, more graceful vessel emerged. It was alive in a way the first wasn't. He explained, if you cling to the first form, you kill the potential of the second. You must be willing to let things fall apart, so they can come together in the way they are meant to. Our lives are that clay. We get attached to a form, an identity, a plan, a relationship dynamic, and when life's will naturally shifts, we fight to keep that old form intact. We see collapse as failure. But what if it's just the clay telling us it's ready to become something new, something more true? Letting go is the courage to let the old form collapse, to sit with the formless lump for a while, and to listen, with wet, attentive hands, for what wants to be born next. This practice requires a radical kind of trust. Not trust that everything will go as you wish, but trust in your own capacity to meet whatever arises. It is the trust of the dancer who doesn't know the next step, but trusts the music in her own body to move into it. Your music is the present moment. Your body is your aware, responsive heart. When you stop trying to rigidly choreograph every second, you start to hear the music. You begin to move with it, not ahead of it or against it. Let's settle deeper now. Feel the contact of your body with the chair, the floor, the earth beneath you. Let gravity do its work. You are supported. You are allowed to be heavy, to be still. In this stillness, we turn to a quiet source of pain, the stories we tell ourselves about who we are. From the time we are small, we are given labels. The smart one. The helper. The strong one. The dreamer. We glue these labels to our skin, and over time, we forget they are labels. We believe they are our bones. We build our entire sense of self upon them. Buddhism invites a gentle, radical inquiry. What if you are not the label, but the one who reads it? What if your true identity is not the brittle story, but the vast, silent awareness in which the story appears? Think of it like this. You are watching a movie. The screen is immense, the sound surrounds you. For 2 hours, you are captivated. You feel the hero's joy, you tense at the villain's threat. You forget, temporarily, that you are in a chair, in a room. You have identified with the story. But when the credits roll and the lights come up, there is a moment of reorientation. Ah, you remember. I am not the hero on the screen. I am the one who watched it. Your life is that movie. Your thoughts, your roles, your successes and failures, are the unfolding plot. Suffering is what happens when the lights never come up, when you remain completely identified with the character, believing its temporary struggles are your permanent truth. Mindfulness is the gentle director who whispers, "Lights up." It is the moment of remembering you are the aware space witnessing the film, not the film itself. This doesn't make the movie less engaging. It allows you to experience it fully, without being destroyed by it. I learned this not in a cinema, but during a period of intense failure. I had launched a project that was, by any measure, a flop. The label I had worn so proudly, a successful creator, was suddenly stripped away. I felt naked, hollow. I wandered through days in a fog of shame, believing, I am a failure. That thought was a dark, looping scene in my personal movie, and I was trapped in a theater, forced to watch it on repeat. One morning, in the middle of this mental replay, a bird struck my window with a soft thud. The sound startled me out of the story. I rushed to the window. The bird lay stunned on the porch below. For the next several minutes, my entire world narrowed to that small creature. Would it live? Would it fly? My own story of failure vanished. There was only care, only presence. The bird eventually shook its head, ruffled its feathers, and flew away. As it disappeared into the trees, I sat back. The "I am a failure" thought returned, but it was different now. I saw it arrive. I saw it like a subtitle flashing on a screen. And I realized, the thought was just a thought. The bird's life was real. The feeling of care in my chest was real. The awareness that had witnessed both the failure and the bird was the realest thing of all. I was not the character, failure. I was the one who had been so fully present for a wounded sparrow. That awareness could hold both the pain of the project and the tenderness for the bird without conflict. I began, slowly, to disentangle from the label. The story of failure became a single scene in a much longer, richer film. This disentangling is the heart of letting go. We are not letting go of our experiences, our love, or our passions. We are letting go of the mistaken belief that they define us. A wave is not the ocean. It is a beautiful, temporary expression of it. Your emotions, your achievements, your relationships are waves on the vast ocean of your awareness. When you know yourself as the ocean, you can enjoy the wave without fearing its end, and weather the storm without believing you are being torn apart. This understanding softens our relationship with a powerful force, desire. We are taught to chase our desires, to see them as the compass pointing toward happiness. Buddhism looks at desire with nuanced clarity. It isn't that desire is evil. It's that we misunderstand its purpose. Desire is the feeling of a wave forming. It is energy, movement. The problem arises when we believe the fulfillment of the desire is the only thing that will allow the wave to rest. We think, when I get that job, then I'll be happy. When I find that partner, then I'll be complete. We place our peace in the hands of a future event. But when the wave reaches the shore, when you get the job, find the partner, what happens? A new wave begins to form. Desire for the next thing arises. If your happiness is tied to the shore, you are forever waiting for the next wave to bring it to you, never realizing you are already floating in the wholeness of the water. I saw this in my own pursuit of a perfect, quiet cabin in the woods. For years, I dreamed of it, saved for it, researched it. It became the symbol of my peace. The desire was a constant, pleasant hum. Finally, after great effort, I acquired it. The first week was bliss. The quiet was profound. But by the second week, I noticed the quiet felt heavy. My mind, which had been occupied with the chase, was now adrift. I started noticing flaws. The driveway was too long, the roof needed work. A new desire formed, for a more convenient, more perfect cabin. The peace I had sought was already evaporating, replaced by the next wave of wanting. The cabin hadn't failed me. I had failed to understand that peace isn't a location you arrive at, it's a relationship you have with the present, no matter where you are. The desire had been a beautiful wave that carried me to a new shore. But I had mistakenly believed the shore itself was the answer, instead of learning to float in the ocean of my own being, cabin or no cabin. So what do we do with desire? We don't suppress it. We relate to it wisely. We see it as a wave, interesting, energetic, but temporary. We can ride the wave of desire toward wholesome action without betting our entire happiness on its crash upon the shore. We can want, we can act, we can enjoy, all while knowing our fundamental well-being is not contained in the outcome. It is the ocean, not the wave. This is the path of engaged non-attachment. You care deeply, you work passionately, you love fully, but you do not chain your inner peace to the results. Your peace remains, like the depth of the ocean, undisturbed by the activity on the surface. This brings us to a tender place, our relationship with other people. Often, our deepest suffering is woven through our connections. We expect people to be the anchors that hold our sense of self steady. We expect them to act in ways that confirm our stories. When they inevitably act from their own movie, their own wounds, their own changing tides, we feel betrayed. We think, you are not playing your role in my story correctly. But they never signed up for your script. They are the lead in their own. Let's breathe into this space between stories. Inhale, and allow a sense of spaciousness. Exhale, and release any need to figure anything out. Just for now, just be. In this openness, we turn toward one of the most common, yet misunderstood, experiences, loneliness. We often treat loneliness as a problem to be solved, a void to be filled with company, noise, or activity. We race from it as if it were a dark room. But Buddhism invites us to pause at its threshold. What if loneliness isn't an empty room, but a door? What if the ache you feel isn't for another person, but for a deeper connection with the vast, silent presence that you yourself are? I'd like to offer you a new metaphor. Imagine you are a well, deep and ancient, fed by a hidden spring far underground. On the surface, You see only the stone rim, the dark circle of water below. Loneliness is the feeling of leaning over that rim and calling down, hearing only your own echo. We misinterpret the echo. We think, I am empty. I need someone to come and fill me. So we spend our lives lowering buckets into other people's wells, hoping to draw up enough of their presence to quench our own thirst. It never works. Not truly. Because the spring that feeds you is not in another's well. It is in your own depths. The practice is not to seek another's water, but to learn to lower your own bucket. To sit patiently at your own rim, and draw up the cool, clear water of your own awareness, your own inherent completeness. When you drink from that source, a miracle happens. You no longer approach others from thirst, but from overflow. And connection becomes a sharing of springs, not a desperate exchange of buckets. I remember a winter I spent mostly alone, in a small house on the edge of town. The silence was immense. At first, the loneliness was a physical pain, a hollow in my chest. I called friends, made plans, filled the hours. But the hollow remained. One evening, a snowstorm canceled all my plans. The power went out. I was left with nothing but candlelight and the howl of the wind. Out of sheer surrender, I stopped fighting the loneliness. I wrapped myself in a blanket, sat by the window, and just let the feeling be. I felt its edges, its coldness. I listened to it like one listens to a strange piece of music. And as I did, the feeling began to change. The hollow wasn't empty, it was quiet. The ache wasn't for another person. It was a deep, yearning pull toward my own inner stillness, which I had been avoiding with all my social noise. In that candlelit quiet, I began to hear my own thoughts more clearly, to feel the rhythm of my own breath. I lowered the bucket. I wasn't lonely for company, I was homesick for myself. That winter of solitude became one of the richest periods of my life, not because I was alone, but because I finally came home to the profound and nourishing company of my own being. This connects to a Buddhist teaching on interconnection. We see ourselves as separate drops of water, beating on a leaf, alone and fragile. But our true nature is the ocean from which all drops arise. The feeling of separation is the illusion. Loneliness is the drops longing for the ocean. But you are never, and have never been, just a drop. Your very substance is ocean. When you feel most isolated, it is a call not to find another drop, but to remember your wetness, your shared essence with all that is. This remembering dissolves the rim of the well. You see that your spring is connected to the underground aquifer that feeds every other well. Compassion naturally arises from this. You are not helping others because you are full and they are empty. You are recognizing the same water in both of your buckets. Yet, in our daily lives, we are constantly bumping against the rough edges of other people's journeys. They say things that hurt us. They act in ways we don't understand. Our instinct is to build a wall, to armor our heart. We believe hardness will protect our softness. But Buddhism suggests the opposite. The wall doesn't protect your softness, it imprisons it. It creates a small, stagnant room inside you where your tenderness grows sick from lack of air. True protection is not a wall, but boundary born of clarity. It is the understanding that another person's harshness is a reflection of the storm in their own sky, not a verdict on your worth. You can see the storm, acknowledge its rain, without having to stand in the middle of it without an umbrella. Let me share a story about my neighbor's dog. It was a large, often barking dog that would rush the fence whenever I passed. For years, I reacted. I would tense up, hurry by, sometimes even shout back. My walks past that house were charged with annoyance and fear. One day, I saw the neighbor in his yard, looking weary. We got to talking. He told me about the dog, a rescue, terribly anxious, afraid of everything. He was doing his best. In that moment, my view shifted entirely. The barking was no longer an aggressive assault, it was a cry of fear. The next time I passed, I didn't see a threatening beast. I saw a terrified animal. I didn't tense. I simply walked by, sending a quiet feeling of calm in its direction. The dog still barked, but the sound no longer reached me in the same way. It was just noise, weather on the other side of the fence. My internal weather remained my own. I had erected a boundary not of hostility, but of understanding. I didn't need to change the dog. I changed my relationship to the barking. This is the essence of non-reactivity. You cannot control the storms in other people's lives. But you can learn the profound skill of carrying your own calm weather within you. This ability to hold calm is rooted in how we meet our own most difficult emotions. We've been taught that anger, sadness, and fear are dangerous. We are supposed to manage them, overcome them, rise above them. So when they arise, we go to war. We shame ourselves for feeling them. This inner war is where suffering multiplies. Buddhism offers a startlingly simple alternative: hospitality. What if your difficult emotion is not an enemy to defeat, but a lost, tired traveler arriving at the door of your awareness? Anger knocks. Instead of slamming the bolt, you open the door. You say, "I see you." You may come in and sit by the fire. You don't have to agree with the traveler. You don't have to let them redecorate your house. You simply give them a seat, a cup of tea, your kind attention. You listen to their story. And almost always, when an emotion is fully acknowledged and welcomed without judgment, it finishes its tea, thanks you, and leaves. It came not to destroy you, but to deliver a message. Resistance turns the traveler into a permanent, destructive squatter. Hospitality allows the message to be delivered, and the traveler to move on. I practiced this with a deep-seated anxiety about public speaking. For decades, I avoided it. The anxiety was a terrifying traveler I refused to let in. I'd feel its approach and I'd numb myself, or flee. When I couldn't avoid a talk, I'd be in agony for weeks. Finally, before a small, required presentation, I decided to try hospitality. The morning of, when the familiar cold dread washed over me, I didn't fight it. I sat down. I said inwardly, "Okay, anxiety. You're here. Let's feel this together." I placed my hand on my chest, where the feeling was strongest. I breathed into that tightness. I didn't tell it to go away. I just felt its texture, its temperature. I acknowledged, this is fear. It's unpleasant, but it's not fatal. I stayed with it for a full 5 minutes. A shift occurred. The anxiety didn't vanish, but its sharp edges softened. It became a heavy, but manageable, weight. When I gave the talk, the anxiety was in the room, but it was sitting quietly in the corner. It wasn't running the show. I had made space for it, and in that space, I found I also had space to connect with the audience, to remember my points, to even enjoy parts of it. The traveler had been heard, and had ceased its frantic pounding on the door. Let's sink even deeper now. Let your awareness drop from your head, down into your chest, into the quiet center of your being. Feel the gentle rise and fall there. This is your anchor. In this anchored place, we explore a subtle thief of peace. The need for life to have a clear, immediate meaning. Our minds are masterful storytellers. They crave a coherent plot. When something painful or confusing happens, we scramble to write the chapter title. This is a test. This is a punishment. This is a lesson. We ransack the event, searching for the moral, the reason, the silver lining. We believe that if we can just find the meaning, we can settle the discomfort. But in our frantic search, we often miss what is actually happening. We are so busy writing the subtitle for the film that we forget to watch the scenes unfolding in breathtaking detail right before us. I'd like to offer you a new metaphor. Imagine you are standing in a dense, ancient forest at night. You have a small lantern. Its light casts a circle just a few feet around you. You can see the intricate bark of the nearest tree, the moss on a stone, a single fern unfurling. This is the present moment, known and clear. Beyond your circle of light is total darkness, the past you can't change, the future you can't see. The mind, terrified of the dark, wants to know the shape of the whole forest. It wants a map. It wants to know why this tree is here, where the path leads, if there are wolves. So it spins stories about the darkness. It imagines maps, it invents wolves. All this mental activity happens in the dark, beyond the light of what is actually known. And it exhausts you. Buddhism suggests a different way. Trust the lantern. Tend to the circle of light at your feet. Study the moss. Feel the bark. Take one step, and let the light reveal the next patch of ground. The meaning of the forest is not in a map you create in the dark, it is in the intimate, step-by-step relationship you have with the ground you are actually standing on. The whole journey is made of such steps, such small circles of light. Meaning is not deciphered, it is lived. I experienced this during a long, uncertain period of waiting for medical test results. That not knowing was a vast, frightening darkness. My mind was a torrent of stories, crafting worst-case scenarios, bargaining with the universe, searching my past for causes. I was living entirely in the imagined forest of the dark, ignoring the small, lit circle of my actual life, the taste of my breakfast, the warmth of the sun on the porch, my dog's head on my knee. One afternoon, worn out from storytelling, I simply sat on that porch. I focused only on what was within my lantern's light. The weight of the dog's head. The pattern of the clouds. The scent of rain on dry earth. For those minutes, I was not in a story about illness. I was simply here, alive, sensing. The fear didn't disappear, but it moved to the edge of the circle. It became part of the darkness around my experience, not the center of it. The center was peace, presence, life itself. When the results finally came, and they were benign, I realized the greatest gift of that time wasn't the good news, it was the forced lesson in living within the lantern's light. I had learned that peace is available even in the darkness, not when the whole forest is illuminated, but when you stop straining to see it and instead cherish what is softly lit before you. This practice requires a profound trust in unfolding. We want to know the destination before we take the step. But life doesn't work that way. You cannot know the view from the mountaintop while you are still in the forest valley. The path reveals itself only as you walk it. This is not passive, it is profoundly active trust. It is the trust of a gardener who plants a seed. She doesn't dig it up every day to check on the roots. She provides water and sun, and trusts the intelligence within the seed and soil to do the work unseen. She tends to her circle of light, the watering, the weeding, and lets the dark, mysterious process of growth happen beneath the surface. This relates directly to a beautiful Buddhist concept, don't know mind. It is not a state of ignorance, but a state of openness, freedom from fixed ideas. It is the mind of the lantern bearer, comfortable with not knowing what lies beyond the light. A knowing mind is rigid, certain, and easily shattered when reality contradicts its story. A don't know mind is flexible, curious, and resilient. It meets each moment fresh, without the filter of yesterday's conclusions. It asks, "What is this?" rather than declaring, "I know what this is." I saw the power of this while learning pottery from a master. I would sit at the wheel with a firm idea, I will make a tall, slender vase. My mind would be full of knowing, the shape, the height, the curve. And inevitably, the clay would rebel. It would wobble, collapse, become something lumpy. I'd get frustrated, blaming the clay. My teacher would sit down, take a fresh lump, and center it. His hands were soft, his gaze open. He had no plan. He would simply feel the clay, respond to its texture, its willingness. He'd ask, "What do you want to be?" And under his hands, without force, the clay would rise into a form that was perfect, not because it matched a pre-made idea, but because it was a true collaboration between the clay's nature and his awareness. He worked from a don't know mind. I was working from a must make this mind. The difference was the difference between struggle and flow, between frustration and discovery. Our lives are that clay. When we approach today with the rigid knowing of yesterday's plans and labels, we fight the natural material of the present. When we approach with a don't know mind, with soft hands and an open heart, we allow our life to take the shape it is meant to take in this moment. This surrender of rigid knowing is the gateway to true creativity and peace. It allows you to be a participant in the mystery, not a manager of it. You begin to see that the periods of darkness, of not knowing, of waiting, are not wasted time. They are the fertile soil. They are the dark, silent space where the seed of your next understanding is germinating. To demand constant light, constant answers, is to keep digging up the seed. So how do we live this? We practice returning to the lantern's circle. When you find yourself lost in the dark forest of why and what if, gently guide your attention back. Feel your feet on the ground. Notice one thing you can see, one thing you can hear, one sensation you can feel. This is your circle of light. This is where life is actually happening. Tend to this. Breathe into this. The meaning of the journey will integrate itself in your bones as you walk, not as a headline you read in advance. This applies powerfully to our relationship with time. We live so much of our mental life in the remembered past or the imagined future. We drag regrets behind us like chains and pull anxieties before us like a heavy cart. The present moment is just the strained point in between. Letting go is the act of dropping the chains and leaving the cart. It is standing still, right here, and discovering you are free to move in any direction, unburdened. Let's return to the anchor of the breath. Inhale, and feel the air as a gentle visitor. Exhale, and release any visitors that have overstayed their welcome. In this clear space, we turn to a powerful force that shapes our inner world, comparison. We live in a hall of mirrors. We glance sideways and see reflections of others' lives, their successes, their joys, their curated perfection. And we measure our own reflection against theirs. We think, my story should look like that one. We forget that the mirror is distorting. We forget we are looking at a reflection of a reflection, seeing only the surface they have turned to the glass. Our own depth, our own unique landscape, remains unseen behind us. This constant comparison is a silent drain. It pulls us out of our own experience and into a ghostly competition with phantoms. Buddhism points to the simple, liberating truth: there is no other. In the deepest sense, we are all expressions of the same life, the same consciousness. To compare your wave to another wave is to miss the point that you are both made of ocean. Your value is not in your height or your crash against the shore, but in your very existence as water. I'd like to offer you a new metaphor. Imagine a mountain valley in spring. In one corner, an apple tree blooms with delicate pink-white flowers. On the other side, a pine tree stands, steady and green. Below them, a wild iris pushes a purple spear through the damp earth. Does the apple tree look at the pine and think, why am I not evergreen? Does the iris look at the apple blossoms and wish it were taller? No. Each lives its own nature completely. The valley's beauty isn't in uniformity, but in the harmonious expression of difference. The apple tree's purpose is to make apples, not pine cones. The iris's purpose is to be an iris. Your purpose is to be fully, authentically, what you already are. Comparison is the mental act of an apple tree trying to photosynthesize like a pine. It's a futile effort that only blocks your own light. I witnessed the end of a long-held comparison in my own life. For years, I measured my creative work against that of a colleague. His path seemed so direct, so acclaimed, so right. Mine felt meandering, quiet, obscure. I'd see his success and feel a knot in my stomach, a mix of admiration and hollow inadequacy. This comparison colored everything. It made my own small joys taste bitter. Then, at a gathering, I had a long, honest conversation with him. He spoke of his deep anxieties, the pressure he felt, the creative projects that felt sterile and forced, the envy he felt for others' freedom. I saw the fatigue behind his eyes, the weight of the image he had to maintain. In that moment, the mirror shattered. I wasn't seeing a better life, I was seeing a different set of struggles, a different kind of weather in a different valley. I had been comparing my behind the scenes to his highlight reel. I walked away not with a sense of schadenfreude, but with a profound sense of relief. I was free. Free to tend my own garden, with its specific weeds and its unique flowers. My path wasn't worse, it was mine. The energy I had spent on comparison flooded back into my own work, not as frantic competition, but as genuine curiosity. I became an apple tree, happily making apples. This release from comparison is intimately tied to another Buddhist insight, the emptiness of fixed identity. We think we are a solid, continuous self that needs to be better, smarter, more accomplished than other selves. But look closely. The you of 10 years ago is not the you of today. Your thoughts change. Your body changes. Your feelings are in constant flux. What is the permanent thing you call to me? It is a story, a collection of memories and labels, held together by thought. Knowing this is not frightening, it is the ultimate liberation. If there is no solid, separate self to defend and improve, then you are free to simply be. You are free to experience life without the filter of, how does this affect me? You can experience joy as joy, not as, my joy. You can experience pain as pain, not as, my failure. This is the spacious, compassionate mind that Buddhism cultivates. From this space, we can look at a common human experience with new eyes, regret. We treat regret as a prison. We handcuff ourselves to a moment in the past, replaying it, wishing we could change a choice, a word, an action. We believe if we punish ourselves enough, we might somehow alter what has already happened. It is the ultimate argument with reality. Buddhism offers a different relationship with regret. See regret not as a jailer, but as a messenger. The ache of regret is a signal from your own deepest wisdom. It is saying, your values have clarified. You now know what kindness, courage, or truth looks like in a way you didn't then. The pain isn't telling you to live in the past, it's informing your present. It's saying, now that you know, how will you live now? The purpose of the messenger is to deliver the letter, not to move in and haunt your house. Thank the messenger. Read the letter, the insight into your own heart, and then let the messenger go. Use the clarity to inform your next choice. That is how regret transforms from a life sentence into a teacher. I carried a specific regret for years. In a moment of fear and pride, I had ended a friendship with a harsh word. The friend moved away, and I never made amends. The memory was a cold stone in my gut. I'd rehearse apologies he would never hear. One day, while meditating, the feeling arose strongly. Instead of pushing it away or getting lost in the story, I asked it gently, "What are you trying to tell me?" The answer arose, clear and calm, "You value loyalty. You value gentle speech." The regret was a monument to my own core values. The pain was the distance between who I was in that moment and who I wished to be. The message wasn't, "Go back and fix it," I couldn't. It was, "Let this knowledge shape you now. Be loyal now. Speak gently now." I felt the cold stone begin to warm, to soften. It didn't vanish, but it became a touchstone of my integrity, not a weapon of self-punishment. I had listened to the messenger, and it had no more need to shout. This ability to listen, to be present with what is, without the overlay of comparison or self-flagellation, allows for the emergence of a quiet, steady joy. This joy is not the flash of excitement or the rush of pleasure. It is the deep contentment of a tree standing in its own spot in the valley, drinking sun, feeling roots in earth, being exactly what it is. It is the joy of no longer being at war with your own existence. We often believe we must earn this joy through achievement or moral perfection. We set up conditions. When I am finally patient enough, when I am finally successful enough, then I will allow myself to be at peace. This is like a tree saying, when I have perfectly symmetrical branches, then I will allow myself to photosynthesize. The tree doesn't work that way. It simply lives, and in its living, it is inherently worthy of sun and rain. Your worth is not a future achievement. It is your present condition of being alive, being aware. You are worthy of peace simply because you exist. You can put down the report card you've been holding up to your own soul. The grading is over. Let's breathe into the heart center. Place a gentle hand over your chest if you wish. Feel the quiet, steady rhythm there, the unspoken, constant proof of your aliveness. In this sanctuary, we address a quiet visitor who often overstays, boredom. We treat boredom as an enemy, a void to be filled with stimulation, noise, and activity. We reach for a screen, a snack, a task, anything to escape the flat, empty plane of the unoccupied moment. But Buddhism invites us to sit on that plane, to feel its texture. What if boredom isn't emptiness, but a space clearing? What if it's life asking you to stop consuming experiences for a moment, and simply be present with the raw material of existence? The mind, accustomed to constant input, panics at the silence. It labels it boring and demands entertainment. But beneath that label is a profound opportunity, the chance to meet yourself without a script. I'd like to offer you a new metaphor. Imagine your mind is a snowfield after a fresh fall. It is pristine, silent, and brilliantly white. Boredom is the moment you stand at the edge of this field. Your habitual mind wants to run out and make footprints, draw pictures, build snowmen. To do something to the field to prove you were there. But what if you simply stood and gazed? What if you appreciated the unmarked whiteness? What if you listened to the profound silence that snow brings? This is the practice of sitting with boredom. You are not doing nothing. You are practicing reverence for the untouched moment. You are allowing the snowfield of your awareness to simply be. In that allowance, you might notice subtle beauties you'd otherwise trample. The way the light catches a million tiny crystals, the sound of your own breath in the quiet, the vast peace of space. Boredom, when not resisted, becomes the gateway to deep rest and creative emptiness. I learned this during a forced period of inactivity after an injury. Confined to a chair, unable to follow my usual routines, the first week was agony. I was profoundly bored. I had exhausted my books, my music, my limited mobility. One afternoon, in sheer surrender, I stopped trying to fill the time. I just looked out the window at a single maple tree. I watched it for what felt like hours. I saw how the leaves trembled in a breeze I couldn't feel. I noticed the intricate pattern of branches against the gray sky. I saw a squirrel make a frantic, perfect leap. I wasn't doing anything. But I was seeing. And in that deep, attentive seeing, boredom vanished. It was replaced by a rich, engrossing intimacy with that single tree. My mind stopped chattering about what I wasn't doing and became fully absorbed in what was. That tree became a universe. When I recovered, I carried a piece of that lesson with me. The richest experiences often arise not from seeking stimulation, but from yielding to the depth of what is already before you. This touches on a core Buddhist teaching, the perfection of the ordinary. We chase peak experiences, dramatic moments, and grand achievements, believing happiness lies in the extraordinary. But Buddhism finds nirvana in the simple act of fetching water and carrying wood. It is in the taste of a single grain of rice, the feel of cool water on your hands, the sound of a door closing in a quiet house. When you stop seeking the extraordinary, the ordinary reveals itself as endlessly extraordinary. The magic isn't in the event, it's in the quality of your attention to it. This shift in attention is the essence of mindfulness, but there is a stage beyond even that. It's what we might call heartfulness. Mindfulness says, be aware of the breath. Heartfulness says, be the breath. Be the tree. Be the silence. It is a dropping of the observer and a merging with the observed. It is the snowfield realizing it is also the snow. In this non-dual space, there is no one to be bored, and nothing to be boring. There is only the seamless flow of experience. From this integrated place, we can approach a tender and powerful subject, forgiveness. We often think of forgiveness as something we do for someone else. We believe it means condoning a harmful action, or reconciling with a person who is unsafe. This misunderstanding can make forgiveness feel impossible, even repulsive. Buddhism reframes forgiveness as an internal release, a setting down of a burden you are carrying. It is not about the other person. It is about your own freedom. Holding resentment is like drinking poison and hoping the other person gets sick. You are the one living with the toxin in your system. Imagine you are on a long hike, carrying a heavy, sharp stone in your pack. It represents a grievance. It cuts into your back with every step. Forgiveness is not finding the person who gave you the stone and declaring them innocent. It is the simple, private act of stopping, opening your pack, taking out the stone, and leaving it by the side of the path. You walk on, lighter. The path is your life. The stone is your resentment. You can leave it any time. The person who gave it to you may never know. That's irrelevant. Your back heals. Your stride becomes easier. That is the true purpose of forgiveness, your own liberation. I carried such a stone for a long time. It was a betrayal by someone I trusted deeply. The story played on a loop, each mental replay rubbing the stone against my spirit. I believed forgiveness would mean saying what they did was okay. So I held on, righteous and wounded. The weight was exhausting. One day, during a meditation on compassion, a simple question arose: who is suffering right now? The answer was glaringly obvious: I was. I was the one replaying the scene. I was the one feeling the heat of anger in my chest. The other person was living their life, likely undisturbed by my private torment. In that moment, I saw the stone in my own hand. I had a choice: keep carrying it and continue to be hurt by it, or put it down. I made a conscious inner declaration: for the sake of my own peace, I release this burden. I set this story down. I didn't say they were right. I didn't invite them back into my life. I simply opened my mental hand and let the heavy, sharp thing fall. The relief was immediate and physical, a loosening in my shoulders, a deep sigh. The memory lost its emotional charge. It became a fact of the past, not a bleeding wound in the present. That was forgiveness. It was the most selfishly compassionate act I had ever done for myself. This inner release creates space for the final, and perhaps most subtle, layer of letting go, the release of spiritual seeking itself. We can turn even the path to peace into a project, a new thing to achieve. We seek the perfect meditation, the deepest insight, the most profound state of calm. We strive to be good at letting go. This, too, becomes a form of clinging. The ultimate irony is that peace is found not in the frantic search for peace, but in the cessation of the search. It is realizing you are not a seeker on a path. You are the ground the path is made of. You are already home. The seeking was just a thought. Imagine you are in a room, searching everywhere for your glasses. You look under tables, in drawers, growing more frantic. Finally, you pause, and you realize the glasses are on your face. You have been looking through them the whole time. You're aware, peaceful nature is those glasses. You have been using it to search for it. The moment you realize this, the search ends. You relax. You see. This is the quiet culmination of the journey. Not a fireworks display of enlightenment, but a simple, gentle recognition of what has always been true. You stop trying to become peaceful, and discover you are peace, momentarily clouded by weather. Let's arrive here, together. Not in a new place, but in the oldest place you know, the quiet within. Let the final words be not an ending, but a beginning. A beginning of resting in what you've always been. We've traveled through many landscapes of the mind, through resistance, control, attachment, and story. We've sat with boredom, met messengers of regret, and set down stones of resentment. We've remembered we are the river, not the stone, the sky, not the storm, the ocean, not the single wave. Now, we come to the simplest truth of all, the one that was here before we began: you are already whole. The entire spiritual search, at its core, is a homesickness for a home you never left. You have been looking for your glasses while wearing them. You have been whispering a prayer for peace into the ear of peace itself. The longing you feel is not a sign of something missing. It is the touch of your own vastness against the temporary walls of your thoughts. It is the ocean whispering to the wave, "Remember me." Buddhism, in its deepest essence, does not give you anything. It helps you remove what you never needed. Like wiping dust from a mirror, it doesn't create the reflection, it simply clears the space for what was always there to shine through. Your true nature, aware, compassionate, at ease, is that mirror. The practices are the soft cloth. The goal is to put the cloth down and simply be the clear reflection, without effort. So what now? How do you live from this? You live gently. You walk through your days not as a manager of reality, but as a participant in a mystery. You meet each moment with a soft heart and open hands. When the old habits arise, the urge to control, the pulse of fear, the whisper of "not enough," you don't fight them. You recognize them as old weather patterns in your sky. You say, "Ah, hello again." And you return your attention to the breath, to the feeling of your feet on the ground, to the next simple action in front of you. You tend to the lantern's circle of light. You live compassionately. Knowing your own struggles, you see the struggles in others not as affronts, but as shared weather. You set boundaries from clarity, not from hatred. You offer kindness not as a spiritual achievement, but as the most natural response of an unguarded heart. You forgive because you value your own inner space more than you value carrying the story of a wrong. You live authentically. You stop comparing your valley to others. You grow the apples you are meant to grow. You appreciate the pines and the irises without wishing to be them. You speak from your truth, not from the fear of how it will be received. You release the heavy armor of identity and feel the vulnerability, and the incredible freedom, of being undefined. And most of all, you live presently. You trade the exhausting mental time travel for the profound adventure of the now. You discover that washing a dish can be a meditation, that listening to a friend can be a sacred act, that feeling sadness can be a deep and honest communion with life. You stop waiting for the perfect conditions and discover that life, in its raw, unfiltered state, with its cracks and its beauty, its uncertainty and its grace, is already the perfect condition for being awake. There is no grand finale to this understanding. No certificate of completion. It is a quiet, ongoing homecoming. Some days, you will feel the river flowing effortlessly. Other days, you will find yourself once again holding a stone, wondering how it got back in your pocket. That's okay. That's the practice. The moment you notice the weight is the moment of your freedom. You can always kneel by the water and let it go. Welcome to the end of seeking and the beginning of living. Welcome to the monk's temple, which was never a place outside you, but the recognition of the sanctuary within. The teachings are over. The truth remains. You are safe. You are enough. You are home. Rest now.